Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Phil and Ryan, listen up. Ryan, I knew we usually don't do this, but she's so special to us and to obviously starting to be special to the whole UConn community. Yesterday, it was announced UConn women's basketball guard KK Arnold named Big East Freshman of the Week. And I think that to say that this is very deserving is an understatement. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this, Ryan. We usually don't have an episode on just one player, and I know this is like you and I going back to off season form, rather, in the summertime, and we go through each player by player, coach by coach. But we had to do this. I talked to you, and just a side note, Ryan, I'm sure that you're a living proof to this one. If you get the chance, slide by and say hi to her parents, because I tell you, I have never met a more sweeter family, a more caring family than the Arnold family. Let me tell you, we think so highly of them, and they've done so much for you and I, right? So we had to do this to honor KK Arnold. Ryan, guard KK Arnold, the Germantown, Wisconsin native, averaged 9 points, 2.4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a 63.6 field goal percentage last week. Arnold scored 12 points along with 5 steals and 5 assists last Thursday against the Terps when you and I was there. And then on Sunday at Minnesota, she finished with 6 points, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 assist. And I told you about this on the game recap, Ryan, a performance highlighted by an impressive buzzer-beating breakaway three-pointer.
Yeah.
So, just very quickly, I know we have a big day ahead of us. We'll go over comments soon here. Just little comments on comments here and there on KK Arnold. When it's all said and done, my conclusion is I would definitely put the argument up that she has been the most impactful player on this team, the most impactful player on this team since she arrived, and out of all the freshmen so far. Now, all the freshmen have stepped up very nicely. Ryan, she's gotten more playing time than I think some has expected, right? What do you have for us, KK Arnold?
Yeah, back-to-back weeks for the Huskies winning this award this week. Well-deserved. KK definitely deserved to win this award after the week she had. We got to see it for ourselves Thursday against Maryland, and then Sunday against Minnesota. Another great game off the bench from KK. Of course, last week we didn't cover it, but Caden Samuels did win the award last week for UConn. So back-to-back weeks. Maybe Ashlyn Shade will win it this week. We'll never know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But hopefully, as the season goes along, maybe a repeat from Cadence or KK, or maybe Ashlyn Shade will get a chance to win the award. But yeah, definitely well-deserved from KK. I don't think it's really a surprise. She's playing good basketball. I think we all expected it. The way we saw her play in the off season, the European games, the scrimmage games, preseason games, whatever you want to call them, she was balling out the whole off season, and we knew she was going to play good. It was just a question of whether she was going to get a lot of minutes, what her minutes were going to look like. Just the opportunities she was going to get off the bench. And I'd say she's definitely gotten a lot of opportunities off the bench and taken advantage of those. So, UConn just needs KK to keep balling out. Like you said, she's definitely been a fresh energy, a really bright light off the bench, and definitely one of the biggest impacts through these first 4 games for UConn so far. So I think, UConn's going to continue to need her energy off the bench. They need her defense. They need her shooting, her offense, and just overall pace to get this offense to continue picking up some pace, some energy, keep rolling through these games. So, I think, for all the freshmen, but especially KK, as she keeps playing the way she is, I think it's only going to benefit the UConn offense even more.
What's your take on this very quickly? I know we discussed this, and I will go ahead and announce it to the public here and to everybody that watches us. What's your take on now? I'm not saying this in any negative kind of way, but when you play alongside great players, it's hard when you're a rookie or, when you're new coming in, a fresh start. It's hard in any sport. It's hard to show off your talent 100%, right? But she is taking the minutes that she's getting and she's making the most out of it, right? And Gino, I'm sure he's already well aware of the kind of player she is. He's had high praise for her, high comments in the post-game press conferences. She breaks open lanes very well when she gets the ball. I mean, she's just like, she slides by everybody, no matter who's in her way. Like, she's going, up in the paint and scores. But let me tell you this very quickly, Ryan. Let me ask you this. I'm curious to what other people say too. And I know we don't want to think about these days coming, but it's going to come eventually. Once Paige Beckers heads out, do you actually see KK Arnold being, you call it the face of this team one day? Because we see the potential she has now. And again, I know a lot of people out there, Phil, why are you talking like this? Well, you have to remember, Ryan, that all good things come to an end. Speaking about Paige Beckers and her time in UConn. So once Paige Beckers decides to head out the door, or when it's her time, do you even see? Because I strongly believe that we haven't seen the best basketball yet out of KK.
I think it's a very good possibility that KK kind of takes control of the role, if you will, of Paige Beckers, and the way she plays. There's definitely, I think, a lot of similarities, and I think KK has definitely already learned a lot, I'm sure, from Paige Beckers and AZ Flood.
You saw, remember how we saw against Maryland sitting in the stands, not to cut you off very quickly. You saw how Paige Beckers was signaling to her all the time, giving her signs, saying, hey, move over this way, move over that way. So yeah, you just reminded me of that.
Yeah, and I think, it'll kind of be the same sort of way, hopefully, when KK is a junior or a senior, hopefully for UConn in these next couple of years, and we get to see Morgan Shelley and Ali Zabel come in, and hopefully KK can be one of those players that teaches them when they're freshmen and sophomores. So hopefully it's a continuous pattern that we get to continue to see from these UConn Husky freshmen, no matter what position they play. But I think it's a really good possibility that KK becomes one of the best players in the nation. I know that's a pretty bold statement, but I think it's a really good possibility with the way UConn guards usually get a lot of attention, and I think KK has the ability to handle that really well. And I think the same goes for Cadence and Ashlyn, and hopefully Ice as well, that we can't forget about them. They're playing really great basketball as well. So like we always say, I think the future is pretty bright for UConn, and I don't really see that slowing down anytime soon.
So fun to see KK Arnold and Paige Beckers bring the ball down the floor. I'll tell you right now, Ryan. Sorry, I was reading comments a little too early. So yeah, I mean, and we have to remember KK Arnold. Yeah, she's a talent, right? She's a great superstar in basketball. KK Arnold, that is. But we have to remember the team that she's playing on. We have to give them credit too, because I'm sure that they're helping her a lot. She's helping them a lot. So it's a two-way street, right? They're both gaining confidence. The knowledge that they need to win. And we cannot wait to see KK in March. All right, Ryan, and everyone else knows what that means. Let's head on over to comments. Ryan, the disruptive one. Gino needs to trust the freshman, and he needs to change the starting lineup. Ducharme hurts the team when she is on the floor.
I think that's definitely one solution, and I've brought it up before in these past couple last check-ins or game recaps. Like I said in the last episode, I believe I really like Caroline during that game recap, but unfortunately, she just really hasn't been able to have the impact that she had when she was a freshman on this team, and I think a lot of it has to do with the injuries. So I'm not really sure what the solution is for Caroline. Maybe it's just to get healthy, or maybe, maybe bringing her off the bench will spark something. But UConn definitely needs her production, especially from three. We talked about, more 3-point shots need to happen for this offense to possibly get rolling again. So I think it would be a good change to see KK in the starting lineup. I think that would also give a boost to this offense. Of course, having AZ back would help out a little bit. But I think, that is a pretty good solution at this point for Gino to switch up the starting lineup. We saw in that preseason game the different lineups that he used. So I think, pretty soon here, it's a very good possibility that he does change the lineup.
This one fits today's episode very well. Gary Roundtree being real. To be honest, I say KK brings the energy and she loves to run. Gino needs to let her be herself. My opinion, I just can't get over this girl. I've seen her in person in Atlanta at Georgia Tech, and they lost. She is tall and has a basketball body. I just don't know and understand her mindset, because I still concerned about the center position if Edwards gets in foul trouble to replace her. The 6'6" cheerleader DeBerry on the bench looks very lost on the court when she gets in the game. Sad, just sad. They need AZ back, serious speaking, more firepower, and I am concerned about the players. And Gino needs to recruit big girl forwards who is down low and strong and go to the basket.
Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing how KK has kind of arrived on the scene so quickly. We knew she was going to be good, but I don't think a lot of us thought it would happen this quickly through right as the season started right away. But unfortunately, I think there's a lot more concerns right now for UConn, and we've talked about it the past couple of years. We've been covering this team on the lack of forwards and centers and big players down low. Getting Dorka was a huge upgrade. I don't think a lot of people expected that. And she played great basketball for 2 years. And Aaliyah has really started to shine in her role, and really just assume that as, UConn's number one post player. But I think coming into the season, I don't think many of us thought it'd be this worrying, or we'd have really this big problem about the lack of size down low. And I hope Ayana can be the solution, but I'm not really sure when she comes back if that can be the whole solution. So yeah, I think Gino's definitely going to have to try to recruit some taller players. Getting all these spectacular guards is great, but I think it would definitely benefit the future of UConn if we do get to have bigger post players start to get recruited in UConn.
It's an interesting take. Yeah, I like that opinion a lot, Ryan. Paul Samora, last one for the day. What I see is a team that will not beat UCLA this weekend, and a loss to Kansas would not surprise me either. Also see a few more losses on the horizon in the non-conference schedule. Gino has to find the right combinations, and Paige should not be playing 30 minutes coming off that knee injury, and that thumb injury is going to be a pain all year long. Ice is looking like she will be a force to deal with, and rest of freshmen are doing their part.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, maybe Paige shouldn't be playing as many minutes, but I think UConn needs her to, especially with the absence of AZ Fudd. I think Paige needed to play a lot of minutes in that game. And also in Minnesota, since it was her homecoming. But I don't think really that the injury is impacting her a whole lot with given the performances that she's had. So I think Paige is fine, and hopefully Ice, she's been playing a lot better, so hopefully she can kind of be the answer for really the whole season. I think she really has to be for the whole season. So yeah, I think there's a lot of concerns and worries moving forward, but wins fixes a lot of those. So hopefully UConn can keep on winning. We talked about how hard the schedule is this season, and also in the conference, it gets a little easier, but there's still a lot of tough opponents. So yeah, hopefully UConn can keep on winning. But yeah, it's not gonna be really easy moving forward.
No, and I saw another person said this. They just need to find their identity. You know, it's been like a roller coaster so far, as far as very good games, Ryan, big highs, and then kind of like, you know, big lows, if you will. So
Yeah.
I think it's about finding that identity. But like I told you, how long? Because I don't think Ryan is going to sit here and say in January and February, it's still early. So
No,
we will
no.
be back with you guys tomorrow night for the last check-in versus UCLA as Ryan, Thanksgiving inches closer. Your favorite event of the year, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I know I text you every year and I say, Ryan, make sure you're up at 9 o'clock. And you're like, Phil, I'm not worried about watching that. It's Phil and Rye on Listen Up.